student authors, families and friends, teacher coordinators, honored guests, and community partners, good evening, and thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Heidi Northwood, and I'm the Senior Executive Officer at Wilfrid Laurier University's Brantford campus. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the virtual 2022 Laurier Stedman Prize celebration. I am so pleased that you could join us as we recognize the work of our region's up-and-coming young authors. To begin, I would like to acknowledge that Wilfrid Laurier University and its campuses are located on the shared traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. This land is part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples and symbolizes the agreement to share, protect our resources, and not to engage in conflict. From the Haldimand Proclamation of October 25th, 1784, this territory is described as 6 miles deep from each side of the Grand River, beginning at Lake Erie and extending in the proportion to the head of said river, which them and their posterity are to enjoy forever. The proclamation was signed by the British with their allies, the Six Nations, after the American Revolution. Despite being the largest reserve demographically in Canada, those nations now reside on less than 5% of this original territory. Before we get into our formal program, I'd like to note a few housekeeping items. Tonight's celebration is being delivered through Zoom's webinar function. It will be recorded, and some or all of tonight's program may be posted online. Only designated speakers will be seen and heard, but you are welcome to share the excitement with your friends and family on social media, of course. Student authors can also send any pictures or videos from this evening to the Dropbox link where you submitted your story videos. For those who require it, closed captioning may be available to you on your Zoom settings. Please note that these services are not perfect and some typos and errors might occur. So now, on to the main event. Tonight marks the third Laurier Stedman Prize celebration. Hosted every other year by the English program at Laurier's Brantford campus, the competition is open only to secondary students in the geographical footprint of our local school boards. It is, to our knowledge, the richest prize of its kind for creative writing competition open exclusively to high school students. We're pleased to have received a record number of submissions this year, with 51 stories representing nearly every secondary school in the Brant, Haldimand, Norfolk Catholic District School Board and Grand Erie District School Board, as well as the Six Nations Polytechnic STEAM Academy and W. Ross Macdonald School. To help you learn more about the department behind the Laurier Stedman Prize, we've made a short video featuring students and faculty from the Brantford campus's English department. We hope you'll enjoy it.
I've always had an interest in English, particularly literature. Once I went to Laurier Brantford and did this program, it just opened up the world for me.
An English degree gives you transferable skills like communication, empathy, the skills that are foundational and that you almost need everywhere you work.
Not only do you get passionate, dedicated lecturers who are willing to push you to your best self, but you also get this small environment where you get to be familiar with people, where you get to feel safe enough to open yourself up and discover things that you didn't even know you had.
We are a part of the Laurier English program, so you will graduate with the English degree from Laurier. But here, because we're in small classes, you really get to develop an ongoing relationship with your colleagues.
When you're walking around campus, when you're walking outside of campus, you're always bound to meet someone that you know.
Laurier Brantford, it's everywhere. It's not just a class, it's not just a building, it's the whole city essentially.
People who have an English degree tend to move up in any workplace that requires good communication and good problem-solving skills, which is almost every workplace.
It's not only that you're just reading and writing essays, there's a lot of opportunities to be engaged and inspired.
I basically go to school to do something that I love. It's a place of inspiration.
If you have questions regarding English or any other programs at Laurier, we encourage you to visit wlu.ca. On this website, you'll also find a Laurier Stedman Prize page where you can read stories by 2018 winner Abhi Traina and our 2020 winner, Samiha Sanjita. We're thrilled that Samiha will be joining us this evening to help announce the winners. Along with our teacher coordinators, student authors, and their family and friends, we know that many other special guests have logged on to join us this evening, including educators and senior leaders from local secondary school boards and schools, elected officials and other community leaders, and many friends of the university, including representatives from the Stedman Foundation. My sincere thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us and celebrating with us. Wilfrid Laurier University's role in the Laurier Stedman Prize is an incredible point of pride for our university and for me personally. As an academic who's dedicated my career to the liberal arts, I could literally lecture for hours on the cultural importance of storytelling, but don't worry, I won't, at least not tonight. What I will say is that telling stories is part of what defines us as human beings. Well-crafted stories possess incredible power. Anyone who has read a great work of fiction knows the sense of transformation that can come from reading. The Laurier Stedman Prize celebrates the up-and-coming storytellers among us. It recognizes those with a gift for using language to make us think, feel, question, consider, and reconsider, to make us feel transported to other places, other times, and into others' lives. What sets the Laurier Stedman Prize apart from just about every other young writer's competition is the prizing structure. Thanks to a very generous gift from the late Miss Mary Stedman, we will award a total of $10,000 in cash prizes tonight. There will be 3 third-place prizes of $1,000 each, 2 second-place prizes of $2,000 each, and 1 first-place prize of $3,000. In addition, the remaining finalists in the top 10 will receive a Laurier blanket and a gift card for the Laurier Stedman bookstore. None of this would be possible without the generosity of the late Miss Mary Stedman. The Stedman name is, of course, well known to many in Brantford. Mary's father, Samuel, went into business with his brothers in 1904, opening the original Stedman bookstore downtown on Colburn Street. The brothers financed this new venture with money they earned selling newspapers. And from these humble beginnings, they went on to establish a chain of stores that spanned right across Canada. Here in Brantford, members of the Stedman family were active in the business, social, and cultural fabric of Brantford and Brant County for more than a century. The Stedman name has become synonymous with generosity and community building. Laurier is incredibly indebted to Mary. She was an early supporter of the idea of a university in Brantford and was one of the first people to donate to this fledgling campus in 1999. Our bookstore bears her name, her family name, in recognition of their generosity. Sadly, Mary passed away in 2014. However, her generosity, commitment to the arts, and bolstering of the local community live on. Laurier was fortunate enough to be entrusted by Mary with funds from an endowment. Those funds make the Laurier Stedman Prize possible. Mary once said of her philanthropy, "I didn't make the money. I've just had the opportunity to give some away. I was taught to give back, and I think I'm carrying out my father's wishes." Today, we feel a bit like Mary must have felt. We are stewards of these funds. Mary has given us the privilege and the responsibility of using her gift in ways that benefit the community and promote learning. And we are proud to do so in a way that celebrates the arts, recognizes talented youth, and builds upon the university community connections that are integral to us at Laurier. So thank you, Mary, for allowing us to honor your legacy and help to carry out your wishes in such a meaningful way. At this point in our program, we are pleased to share some words of wisdom and encouragement from another writer who, like you, had to attend her big awards night remotely. In November 2020, writer Suvankam Tamavangsa won the Scotiabank Giller Prize for her collection of short stories entitled How to Pronounce Knife. At that time, Suvankam was teaching creative writing at the English program here at Laurier Brantford. This celebrated and award-winning Canadian poet and author has prepared a message for all of our writers this evening. I hope you'll enjoy it.
Hello, my name is Suvankam Tamavangsa. I won the 2020 Scotiabank Giller Prize at home from my couch because, pandemic. 2020 feels like a long time ago. Prizes are lovely when you win, but what exactly is it that you've won? Long before someone said you won, the thing you made was already done. The most wonderful things for a writer come without fanfare. You wrote what you wanted to write, and you did without anyone say so. The title, the image, the voice, space, and sound. You chose alone, the word after the word after the word. And at that moment, there wasn't a prize. There was just your word. There are no prizes for when it rains. There's no prize when there's a tree. Certainly, no prize when the sun rises every day. Some of the most valuable moments are when there isn't a prize. I know what it's like not to win a prize, and I will know this again. It doesn't mean what I wrote isn't good. I got to write. That's the win. Prizes don't write books. Prizes don't make you a writer. You are a writer because you write. When you win, everyone loves you. Take the moment in, celebrate the wins when they come. And to those who did not win, you've no idea how close you were, and probably will never know just how close. Keep going. Now that you know what it feels like to write, come back to the page, find that word after the word again and again, because no one else will. There might not be a prize for that, but that's the win. Congratulations.
My sincere thanks to Suvankam for creating such a moving and meaningful message. While the pandemic impacted our ability to plan for an in-person celebration, the general process of the Laurier Stedman Prize competition remained the same as previous years. Submissions were to be original, unpublished works of fiction up to 1,500 words in length. Individual schools determined their own processes for selecting the works that they entered into the competition. We are thrilled to report that the response to the call for entries was phenomenal, with 51 stories received. None of that would have been possible without the work of our teacher coordinators. Each school had at least one teacher who took on the responsibility of coordinating entries from their students. We know how very busy our educators are, and we are indebted to you for taking on this additional responsibility so that your students could participate in this competition. We literally could not have done this without you, so thank you so much for making this program such a success. Submissions to the competition were assigned numbers, and no one from the university or the juries knew the identities of the writers or their schools until after judging was complete. A series of sub-juries reviewed and evaluated the entries, with the highest scoring stories moving on to the prize jury for consideration. Members of the sub-juries included Laurier faculty and staff, as well as students in creative writing here at the Brantford campus. The prize jury that selected the final winners were composed of the following people: Dr. Ian McRae, prize jury chair and associate professor in the English program at Laurier's Brantford campus; Ali Bryan, Pushcart Prize nominated writer and novelist, and Laurier 2020's Edna Stabler writer-in-residence; Susanna Kearsley, a Brantford-born New York Times best-selling novelist of historical fiction, mystery, and thrillers; Mariam Perbhai, award-winning author and professor of English and Film Studies at Wilfrid Laurier University; and Samiha Sanjita, 2020 Laurier Stedman Prize winner, currently studying creative writing at the University of Toronto. Thank you all to all of our jury members for your time and for your thoughtful evaluation of the submitted stories. We'll now hear a few words from Dr. Ken Paradis, Associate Professor in the English program at Laurier Brantford and coordinator of the Laurier Stedman Prize competition, on how winners are selected.
Hi everybody, my name is Ken Paradis and I'm a professor in the English program at Laurier Brantford, and I'm also the person who oversees the Laurier Stedman Prize. So it's my job right now to tell you how we chose the winners. Before I do that though, let me just say that I just want to say thanks to everybody who put a story into this competition. I know how much time and effort it took to write these stories and submit them, so we really appreciate that. And I can also tell you that I've read an awful lot of the stories, and they're fantastic. Every single one of them is funny or moving or scary sometimes, and they all show tremendous imagination and storytelling skill. So I wish there was some way that we could reward them all with prizes. That said, we can't, so here's how we chose the winners. First of all, as you know, you needed to be chosen to be submitted in the prize from your school. And each school could only submit up to 4 stories. So if you were at a big school and there was 20 or 30 or even 40 people submitting stories, your teachers had to choose 4 from that whole group to send on to the competition. So if you were entered in this competition, you're kind of already a winner. So well done. It really shows in the work that we saw. Now, again, we had about 50 stories submitted this year. That was the most we've ever had. And we divided those stories up between 5 sub-juries. Now, these sub-juries were made up of mostly Laurier Brantford English students studying English here, many of whom are studying creative writing themselves with one of our creative writing instructors, who are all top-level authors in Canada in their own right. So, our creative writing students really know good literature when they see it. Each of the 5 sub-juries was given 10 stories, and from those 10 stories, they had to choose 2 to send to the prize jury round. That was a tough thing to do. I was the chair of one of the sub-juries, and it was really hard because every single one of the stories that we got, it had its own appeal. It had its own, good aspects. But we deliberated and we thought about it and we ranked them, and each of the sub-juries came up with 2 that we sent along to the final round. Those were our finalists, those 10. The final round was adjudicated by the prize jury, made up of professors and authors and people who really know literature. So their job was to rank those 10 finalist stories from 1 to 10. And it was really tough. I know, I've talked to somebody in the prize jury and they said it was really hard because every one of the stories that came to them, every one of those top 10 could have been the winner. Every one of those top 10 was a strong story in its own right. But difficult choices were made, and today, I understand, we have a list of winners. Now I say I understand because even I don't know who won yet. So I'm going to be waiting to hear the winners just like you. So before I go, let me just say again, thank you all so much for putting in a story. We really appreciate it and know we've really enjoyed reading all of your work. Maybe you'll even put one in for our next prize contest. Anyway, good luck everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you, Ken, and my thanks to everyone involved in the jury process. I know that everyone's anticipation for the big announcement is growing, so don't worry, we're almost there. Before we announce the winners, we'd like to give you a taste of the writers and the works being celebrated this evening. So please enjoy this montage of some of our 2022 Laurier Stedman Prize authors sharing samplings of their work. After the video, the 2020 winner, Samiha, will announce our top 10.
I wrote the story for the Laurier Stedman Prize.
My short story is Discernment of the Moon.
He did not dare look at the windows. If he did, he was not sure if he'd like what he will see.
A pair of great wings lay tucked beneath its body.
Like someone tore out his guts and twisted them into a knot.
She takes the darkness's hand and makes her decision.
Now my hands were turning an unflattering shade of purple.
She looks like she's about to cry, but so am I, and I just can't seem to make myself loosen my grip.
Her surroundings became an intense blur of flashing neon signs for nightclub cinemas.
They're calling them death showers now, and hundreds of them come in the week.
What else could those sharp, jagged edges be?
By morning, there would be nothing left of either the house or the beast that ravished it.
Yet here I am, a ball of oblivion with death on its mind.
I gulped and gripped tighter onto the braided reins held in my hands.
Gripping onto the steering wheel like a roller coaster cart, everything goes black as we slowly fall off the edge.
Ben's head felt submerged in water. A paramedic sat at Jasmine's side. Another prodded him with questions.
Not even death could stop me from loving you. Just remember that.
I think it was that smile that chased my words away.
The underlying message is that it's okay to have feelings.
The Atlantic and Pacific Railroad had just completed its extension to the city, and it started to grow immensely in the next couple of years.
Cindy and Waiter leaned together, laughing at the table.
Tech Ship terrified me. It would never touch my cat.
I liked the way Marvin's ears were flappy black ovals that stuck out way past his head.
With a sense of understanding, Alistair snuggled closer, and the pair sat in silence once more.
The man feigning ignorance, and the teenager wondering how someone could ignore another like that.
Every day, I'm reminded that I am different. I am not like everybody else.
I've started to resent the whispers in my mind.
They can't see the bloody lip under my mask.
Pinned beneath the gray seat of a toppled minivan, half my body submerged in snow. Cold is different.
My glass had shattered long ago, and I am nothing but rigid, sharp edges.
The only thing that keeps me sane is studying the roof of my jail.
Her body had been strangled by the invisible hands of depression, who had stolen her hope and taken her life.
As the night went on, intoxication of clear substances clouded my brain.
However, a pungent red is seeping into my cover and following pages. She rushes to clean it, but the damage has already been done.
And my feet dragged and sank and held me in a limbo of slow motion.
I grasped them lightly, my mother's secrets, as half things.
Gazing into their luminance felt as close to hugging Ruby as physically possible.
The whole place smelled of lavender, begonias, and frankincense.
The majority of the meeting is just rehashing memories of you.
Love is like a flame, something that burns bright and spreads endlessly.
And I hope you enjoyed my story. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Miha, the winner of the 2020 Laurier Stedman contest. I'm so happy to have been a prize judge on this year's jury. I was in grade 12 when I wrote my piece, and this contest has been essential to my writing career. It was the first time I realized that it wasn't unrealistic to write creatively for my future. I wrote my piece on the independence war in Bangladesh and the atrocities that were committed there because I wanted to bring to light a lot of my country's history that has been buried. As someone who has the ability to share my words, I felt that it was necessary to give voice to those that were silenced by oppression. Like that story, every one of my pieces shares a part of me, even if it's not obvious. Writing takes a lot of work, and showing off that work takes even more courage, so I hope you all know how well you've done to make it this far. I encourage all of you to keep writing, even if it's not for your career. If it makes you happy, please continue sharing that part of yourself with the world. You never know who needs to hear it. Good luck to every one of you. I'm so glad to have been able to read your work. Now, without any further ado, I'm pleased to share the top 10 winners of the 2022 Laurier Stedman Prize. We will begin by announcing the 4 finalists who rounded out our top 10, followed by our 3rd place finishers, 2nd place finishers, and finally our 1st place winner. When the 1st place winner is announced, we will share a short video of the author reading their work. After that, we'll turn things over to Dr. Northwood for closing remarks. Our 4 finalists, rounding out the top 10, each receiving a gift from the Laurier Stedman bookstore, are, in alphabetical order, Trapped by Maya Baxter of Holy Trinity Catholic High School. Missed Messages by Alicia Butler of Holy Trinity Catholic High School. Breathe by Madeline Campbell of St. John's College. And Cat Food by Abby Thompson of North Park Collegiate Vocational School. Congratulations! Our third place finishers, each receiving a prize of $1,000, will now be announced in alphabetical order. To offer a sampling of the work submitted, we'll be reading the opening lines from the winning stories before announcing the authors' names. Our first third place story begins, "Oh, stop." Jazz batted him away, but Ben only rolled his eyes and snuggled up closer to her. Congratulations to Aria Taylor of North Park Collegiate Vocational School, author of Delirious in Love. Our next third place story begins as follows. October 1943. Dear Elizabeth, the bombs are falling. I was in the yard and then the sirens went off. Congratulations to Sophie Vandenbrick of Pauline Johnson Collegiate and Vocational School, author of Katerina's Letters. And our final third place story begins with the passage. The husk of a gloomy night looms through tall windows over the landline on the counter. It's matte black, but not in a sleek modern way, in more of a worn way. Congratulations to Rylan Ward of Waterford District High School, author of The Landline. Our second place finishers each received $2,000. The first of these stories begins. It was with a little hesitation that the confectioner filled a dozen cupcakes with cyanide-infused buttercream. Congratulations to Kaylin Mann of Brantford Collegiate Institute and Vocational School, author of The Confectioner. Also in second place is a story that opens with, I scanned the aisles right to left. Everything is stocked differently here. Where I used to live, the grocery store by my house had their fresh produce to the right, then their grains, their meat, and their dairy. Congratulations to Tahia Sieda of Assumption High School, author of A Day at the Store. And now, the first place story in the 2022 Laurier Stedman Prize competition, winner of $3,000, begins with the line, My body hesitated to lift itself onto the edge. This is what I want, but my brain and my heart disagree. Congratulations to Cavell Sproul of Pauline Johnson Collegiate and Vocational School, author of 8, 10, 12, and winner of the 2022 Laurier Stedman Prize.
Hi there, my name is Cavell Sproul. I'm in grade 11 at Pauline Johnson Collegiate. My story is called 8, 10, 12, and it follows the story of a young girl who's contemplating suicide as she reminisces on all the things that led her there. Here is a quick sample of my story. Now my hands were turning an unflattering shade of purple. I didn't dare shove them in my coat pockets. Without full use of my arms, I might fall. Not that I didn't want to, I just wasn't ready yet. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Samiha. Before we sign off, I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening and congratulate all of our student writers. I am so excited for you. Thank you to the jury members, the teacher coordinators, our special guests, and of course the family and friends of our young authors. A very special thank you to our Laurier faculty and staff who made this competition possible. For those in the top 10, we will be in touch with your teacher coordinators to arrange prize deliveries and photos and complete all the necessary paperwork for those receiving cash prizes. You'll have to sign in a gazillion places. Finally, I offer a very special thank you to the young authors. This competition is about celebrating you, your work, your talent, and your participation. Thank you for taking the time to create and to share your work with us. Whatever path you take in the future, in your future educations and careers, writing and storytelling will always be skills that set you up for success and hopefully happiness. It was a pleasure to celebrate with all of you. We hope to see you again in our community, on our campus, or perhaps even on the bestseller list. Have a great night and keep writing.